Woodcraft, helping you make woodwork.
Okay, welcome to our demo today. We are demoing the Java, well, gel stain. We're actually going to use Java because we have one open. So it's gel stain finishes, and we're going to start at the very beginning. You walk into your kitchen, you say, oh gee, you know, it needs updated. So let's look at this. First thing to do, obviously prep your kitchen. You're going to make a mess. The doors are easily removed, and the drawer facings, most drawer facings will come off of the drawer. Some of them are just tacked on there with little brads and a screwdriver and a little bit of twisty twist, and they'll pop right off. Most of the time you got to take the hardware off, but it's got to come off anyways. So if you just work with it a little bit, I've even used a butter knife because it was in the drawer, and give it, you know, some wiggle jiggle, those faces will generally pop off. You do want to remove all the hardware and the hinges. Some people say why. It's a much cleaner job in the end. The more effort you give it in the beginning, the better it is in the end. So I recommend that everybody takes their hardware off. Plastic on your kitchen floor, a drop cloth, something. This kind of tape is really good for that particular because it doesn't come off very easily. Painter's tape is designed to be removed easily, so I would go up my walls where the carcass actually attaches to the wall, and I would tape around it with blue tape. But anytime I tape on the floor, I would either use a good sturdy duct tape or scotch tape, or not scotch, but masking tape. It works really good. If you use masking tape on your cabinets, I will guarantee you that half of it won't come off, and you'll play the game of trying to get it off, which isn't all that fun. So prep your kitchen. Make sure your walls are taped, the edges are taped, your countertops are covered. This is can be a very messy process, so the better prepped you are in the kitchen, the better it's going to be in the end, and you're not going to be fighting kitchen counters to get stain off of it. It is a stain, so it will leave a mark. So really important that you take the time and you prep. Once your doors are off and your drawer facings are eliminated, you have the carcass just on the wall, and it's not going to be removed. 99.9% of the time, there's just no way that you can remove a whole kitchen counter system unless you're putting a new one in. Nobody wants to go through all that effort. It's a lot. And most of the time it destroys the cabinets anyway, so it's not advised to do it. That's why they came up with this system. Basically what a gel coat overcoating is it's a stain that will adhere to your existing clear coat with a little bit of prep. It's not really designed, you can use it on raw wood, but it more came out for the fact that we want to overcoat something without having to completely strip it and change the look and the feel in our kitchen with the least amount of effort possible. So this is where the gel stain came from. So I guess we'll just jump right in. The biggest part, again, to any project is your prep and how good a job you do prepping. And when I say prep, kitchens have grease and water and oils, and you're cooking, you're eating, I mean, everything goes on, and well, everything goes on in my kitchen, so there could be a carburetor on my countertop at times. But the point is your cabinets really tend to take a beating as far as contaminants. You might not see it, but they're there. Every time you touch a door or touch the carcass or anything, you're leaving oils from your skin, which is contaminating your wood, which is important to remove all of that. A couple of different ways you can do it. And again, I'm just going to throw out a couple of different ways. You can, you know, it's up to you how you do it. Every one of them will work. You can go out and we have what's called a cleaner concentrate. that Waterlux provides or manufactures, and good product. And what it's doing is it's degreasing the cabinets. It's removing all the oils and the contaminants. And you want to do that first. Reason being is if you start scuffing, and we'll get into the sanding here in a minute, but if you start scuffing your wood, your cabinets, before you clean them, you're just kind of pushing that grime further into the clear coat. And what's going to happen is you're not going to have great adhesion because there's a contaminant. And stains will not adhere to an oil contaminant. It's like oil and water. You heard of that? It doesn't mix. Contaminants and stains, they just don't mix. And it all will look good until you put the clear coat on. And then once that clear coat goes on and it starts to alligator and orange peel, and you step back and you go, oh wow, now you're having to strip it down, start over again. So we don't want to get to that point. So the best way to do it is to just remove all of the contaminants with either a remover that we provide here. Mineral spirits works very good. There's a little bit of an odor to it, but it doesn't linger long. Any kind of thinners, your lacquer thinner, it's kind of a harsher chemical on your body. Please use respiration and protected gloves. But it's wonderful for taking contaminants, and it doesn't leave a residue afterwards, which is nice about lacquer thinner. But your turpentines, any thinners will actually work, whatever you have in the garage or choose to purchase. So we've cleaned it all, and the way that you're going to clean it is, I'm a paper towel woman. I like to just be done with it and throw it away. We do have lots of rags and towels and applications, but my advice, we're cleaning this, I like to just throw it away. I'm going to throw it away anyways, so a disposable works really well for that. See if I can get that off. You're not going to actually pour it completely on your cabinets. You're going to put it on your towel and just kind of work it in and just hit every area. All of your grooves and your corners and your hard to get areas that nobody ever wants to sand, honestly, those are the most critical spots, because if your clear coat doesn't adhere to that, it's going to look terrible, and the stain is not going to stay. After a couple of wipe downs, it will be faded and gone, and you'll be looking at your original clear coat again. So it's pretty critical that you get all of those nicks and crannies that nobody likes to work with at least wiped down. And in the sanding process too, it's terribly important to get all of it. So, see how easy that is? Throw it away! I like that. At the end of your project, I do encourage everybody to pour a little bit of water on their garbage too, because you know, you have combustibilities and flammabilities and all of that. So the safest way to discard of any oil product is to just put a little water on it and set it outside till it dries, and then throw it in the garbage can. What you do need to, it is very much safe to put a little water on it and dilute it out. So I'm just wiping off the excess here so it dries a little bit faster. I'm trying very hard not to touch my project with my hands. You can put gloves on. These disposable gloves are wonderful to try and keep any oil and contaminants off once you've removed them. And again, the places that nobody likes to deal with, those are the most critical. I think we're looking pretty good. So scuffing. Scuffing is not sanding. I can't say that enough. Scuffing is not sanding. Sanding is a lot of work. Wear out your elbow and your shoulder and your brain and everything else. Scuffing is just opening up the pores of your clear coat and allowing the product to absorb to something. Without opening up the pores, it's too slick of a surface and it will not adhere. It'll look all good till you put the clear coat on, and then it'll come right off with your brush stroke. Even if you spray it, the clear coat is not going to create a big enough shell to keep the stain there. So scuffing is very critical. And oh, here it is. I use 220. Some people like to go a little larger into 320 or even 400. Through my experience, I have come to the point where 220 suits me really well. It opens up the pores enough, but yet it doesn't leave the scratches the way 80 will. Never use 80. 120 is even a little too much. The minimum you use is 220. And you can, get larger, the 320s and the 400s, and you can get fancy and do wet and dry. And I think a lot of that is just wasting time. So I'm more into jump into the job, get it done, make it look good, and move on. So 220 is my personal choice. With kitchen doors, I have done so many of these kitchen doors. The smaller the piece, the easier it is to get into all of the detail. Can you guys see the detail of this? I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs and ups and downs and highs and lows. I think they gave me the hardest one to do ever. You guys probably, none of your kitchens probably look like this. Most of them are raised panel or, a little bit of decorative, but not a bunch like this one. So we're gonna get a little bit involved because we have a pretty involved kitchen cabinet door here. Everybody's favorite saying, use a block, always use a block. My opinion, that is new construction. Definitely use a block, new construction. A block is just something that with a flat surface, usually it's a block of wood, that's why they call it a block. You can get foam pads that are blocks or that have sanding paper on the outside, but they're kind of foam blocks. Reality-wise, we are not sanding for a finish for the first time. We are overcoating an existing finish. So the existing finish already has that extreme sanding. We are scuffing, so your hand does just fine. And no matter who you are, you're going to work faster and more diligently with your hand than you are if you're hanging on to something. So there's not a lot of pressure, and you're just watching. Kind of hard to explain. See if you can see it. You're just watching where you're sanding, and if you're leaving anything that's shiny, you just kind of back up a little bit, go over it again. I have very little pressure going on. Again, I just want to scuff the top of this clear coat. I don't want to go through it. If I do go through it, we're going to get into blotchy land when we put